Hey Bookish Babes, and welcome to my book nook.
We are monsters. We give and we take.
For those that are new around here, the name's Rainy. I read all different types of books, primarily fantasy romance at the moment, so if you're interested in that, please like and subscribe to my channel down below. It really helps my channel grow. Today's video is very long overdue. It is my April and May wrap up because I just don't like filming wrap ups, okay? Now, even though I'm doing tier ranking for this now and I've made it different, it's just still not my favorite thing in the world. And also, I didn't read a lot in April, so I figured it made more sense to combine it for April and May. However, for June, I might have to split it in two and do a midway wrap up where we're going to be here for a million years because I've already read 12 books and it is only June 9th. So, take with that what you will. Amazing readathon. Thank you for that. But anyway, we are going to start this by talking about my April stats and my May stats and all the books that I read just in order from like least favorite to favorite, or you know, like 0 star to whatever. And then we're going to go and actually tier rank all of them so you can see like which books I liked higher than others, and you know, you just get to see my best recommendations at the end of all of this. So I will timestamp everything so that if you want to skip all the stats, then you can, although I really like hearing about stats, so that's just for me. But anyway, we're just going to get started because I have a lot to say. I do have my laptop in front of me so that like I can look at my stats and things. So I'll start with April. In April, I read a total of 8 books, but I can only talk about 7 because one is for a secret project that will come out in July. You'll just have to wait until then. As far as pages read, I read 2,357 pages. I listened to 37.79 hours of audio, and my average rating was a 3.1. I had a very difficult reading month in April that you'll see in a minute. As far as books acquired, I acquired 23. We're going to move on. I didn't get any library books. I didn't do any rereads. I did have 1 DNF. I started 6 series and I had 0 diverse reads, and that's very sad and I don't want to talk about it. Let's move on. I hit a pretty hard slump in the end of April. It was not great for my reading. I didn't read for like a week. It sucked. It really sucked. As far as my ratings go, I had 1 2.5 star, 2 3 stars, 1 3.5 star, 1 4 star, 1 5 star, and 1 DNF. Not great. My shortest book read was Bear and the Nightingale. I only read 29 pages. That's probably the DNF. And the shortest book read was Bear and the Nightingale. I listened to it for an hour. The longest book I read was A Fate of Wrath and Flame at 492 pages. And the longest book I read was A Fate of Wrath and Flame for 8.5 hours. Kind of makes sense. The genres I did was 1 humor, 1 romance, and 5 fantasy. Still in my fantasy era. Diversity, like I said, I had 0 diverse reads. So it was the worst I've ever done. Absolutely the worst I've ever done. The format was 7 novels, and it was 7 mixture, meaning I didn't read physically or ebook or audio. I listened on immersion read. Where I acquired them from was 5 were from the bookstore, 1 was borrowed, and 1 was from the library. As far as the audience goes, there were 4 adult books and 3 YA books, which is higher than normal for me. As far as authors go, I had 1 debut author, Rosaria Mundo for Fireborn. I had 4 that were new to me, Carrie Maniscalco for Kingdom of the Wicked, Frida McFadden for The Housemaid, Catherine Arden for Bear and the Nightingale, and Olivia Dade for At First Spite. And then I had 2 that I'd read from before, K.A. Tucker for A Fate of Wrath and Flame, and T. Kingfisher for Nettle and Bone. So I had 6 that were part of a series. I started Fireborn, I started A Fate of Wrath and Flame, I started Kingdom of the Wicked, I started The Housemaid, I started At First Spite, and I started The Bear and the Nightingale. And then I had 1 that was a standalone, and it was Nettle and Bone. And these are the books that I read in April, and they're not in any specific order. Like, they're in order of like 0 stars to like 1 star, but like beyond that, like they're not in order of like my favorite, okay? The Bear and the Nightingale, DNF. Nettle and Bone, 2.5 stars. Kingdom of the Wicked, 3 stars. Fireborn, 3 stars. Housemaid, 3.5 stars. At First Spite, 4 stars. And A Fate of Wrath and Flame, 5 stars. Moving on to May, friends. Much better month in May. I read a total of 13 books for over 4,516 pages read, which also added to up to 48.66 hours of audio, with an average rating of 4.0. So obviously, we moved up in the world. Books acquired was 33. We're going to skip right past that. Library books acquired was 43. I was prepping for Amazing Readathon. Rereads are 0. DNFs are 1. I started 3... No, DNFs I think are 0. I didn't DNF any, so I need to get rid of that. DNFs were 0. I started 3 series and I had 2 diverse reads. It was a much better reading month in May. I was starting summer break. I was thriving. Then we get to the ratings, and I had 2 2.5 stars, 1 3 star, 2 3.5 stars, 2 4 stars, 1 4.5 star, and 5 5 stars. So the stars were starring. The stars were starring. As far as the shortest book I read was The Grown Up at 62 pages. It was also the shortest book for audio, 0.3 hours. The longest book I read was When the Moon Hatched at 698 pages, but the longest audio that I read was Magnolia Park's Long Way Home, which took me 10 hours. It just took forever. That audio was brutal. As far as genres go, I read 1 horror, 1 romance, 6 fantasy, 3 romantasy, and 2 thriller. The format was 1 graphic novel, 1 novella, and 11 novels. The source was I read 1 ebook, 1 physical, and 11 were an immersion read mixture, which is what I always like to do. Where I acquired them from was 1 was from Amazon, 1 was from a book box, 9 were from the bookstore, 1 was gifted, and 1 was from the library. The audience was 8 adult and 5 YA. I read a lot more YA this round, not by my choice always. As far as the authors go, 5 were new to me. Maggie Stiefvater for The Raven Cycle, Scarlett St. Clair for Mountains Made of Glass, Vila Roth for Blood Price, Emily Carroll for Here We Are at the Castle, whatever that one's called, and then Sarah A. Parker for When the Moon Hatched. And then I had 8 I had read from before: Jessa Hastings for Magnolia Parks, Sarah J. Maas for the Throne of Glass series, Geneva Rose for Home is Where the Bodies Are, S.T. Gibson for Education and Malice, Lauren Roberts for Powerful, Gillian Flynn for The Grown Up, Kate Golden for Dawn of Onyx, or A Promise of Peridot this time around. And then 9 were part of a series. I continued Magnolia Parks, I started The Raven Cycle, I continued Throne of Glass, I continued Powerless, I started the Mountains Made of Glass fairy tale retellings, I started Blood Grace, which is Blood Price. I started Sacred Stones, I continued Sacred Stones, which is A Promise of Peridot, and I started Moonfall, which is When the Moon Hatched. And then 4 were a standalone for Homes Where the Bodies Are, and Education and Malice, When I Arrived at the Castle, and The Grown Up. And then here are the books I read in order of least favorite to favorite. Raven Boys, 2.5 stars. The Grown Up, 2.5 stars. Home is Where the Bodies Are, 3.5 stars. Powerful, 3.5 stars. Air of Fire, 3.5 stars. A Promise of Peridot, 4 stars. When I Arrived at the Castle, 4 stars. Crown of Midnight, 4.5 stars. In Education and Malice, 5 stars. Mountains Made of Glass, 5 stars. When the Moon Hatched, 5 stars. Blood Price, 5 stars. And Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, 5 stars. And so with that, let's dive into my tier ranking. Here are all the books that I read in April and May, and so we are just going to start with the tier ranking. If you hear the air in the background, it needs to be on because it's hot and it's Florida and it's summer, so it be what it be. Alright, I'm going to go through these tiers really, really quickly, only because we already know these. I do them the same every month. So we have He's Her Lobster, which is obviously like the cream of the crop because you know lobsters, like they hold the claws, they walk together, they're friends for life. So it's like my besties for life, my God tier books. Then we have What's Not to Like, Custard good, Jam good, Meat good. It's like, what's not to like about these books? Like, they're fabulous books. They may not be like the cream of the crop, but like, I would recommend them to pretty much everyone. Then we have Smelly Cat, what are they feeding you? It's like, you want to love it, and you do love it, but like, there's something wrong with it, and you're not really sure what it is. You're just, there's something a little lackluster about it. Then we have I Wish I Could, but I don't want to. It's like, I wish I could love and recommend these books, but I just don't want to. Not really my favorite. And then we have Oh My God. These books are trash. These books are trash. And I don't know if I actually have any on this list that are going to go in there or not. We will see, but that's where we're going to go. So we're just going to start off the top. And we're going to start with The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. And, okay. I'm going to hear me out here. I'm going to put it in Smelly Cat, even though I gave it a 2.5 stars. Because I think I would have genuinely enjoyed this book a lot better if I had read it back when it came out and I was young and, you know, in my YA girly journey. This is just too far removed. It came out like in the 2000s and the early 2000s, and it's just not for me. I can recognize it as a good book. I know that it's beloved by many, and so like, I don't think it was a bad book. I just don't think it's a time of my journey where I'm going to appreciate this the way that it needs to. And so obviously it was missing something for me, hence why we'll put it in the Smelly Cat category. Then we have The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. And, okay. I kind of want to put this in Oh My God, and that kind of makes me feel bad because it's this Gillian Flynn. I gave it a 2 star though. It's my worst book of the month, I'm pretty sure. It was not good. I don't understand the point of this. It was like supposed to be this haunted house story. A woman that basically cons people into thinking she helps them get rid of like ghosts and stuff. And then she goes to like a haunted house and weird stuff happens. The ending was so stupid, lackluster, made no point, ambiguous for no reason. Like, I don't really understand the point of this short story, if we're being honest, and I didn't like it. So I'm honestly annoyed with it. So that's where it ended up. Then we have When I Arrived at the Castle, which was this cute little sapphic graphic novel, and I'm just going to put it in What's Not to Like because I had a really great time with this. I picked it up because Jan was reading it. It's super cute, I mean, I don't know. It was just a fun time. It wasn't anything to like write home about. I'll probably forget about it a month from now, but I had a great time when I was reading it. So yeah. Then we have Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco, and I'm going to put that in I Wish I Could, but I don't want to, because this was not good. It was not. Now, once again, it's YA, and I've learned I'm not a YA girly, but I still didn't like it, okay? I didn't like it, and it was kind of boring. I was really skimming to get through it. No. And so since I'm really glad that I didn't do what I always do, and I always buy, like, the rest of series for this, I didn't do that this time. Thank goodness. Thank the Lord. I only had that one book to get rid of, so I'll call that a success. Then we have Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. And it pains me to put it here, but I'm putting it in Smelly Cat because it did not work for me. And I was told by several that I wasn't sure if I was going to work for me or not because it's very political. Now, I will say this is one of the best written YA books that I've ever read, okay? I recognize the talent in this debut author, okay? This was her debut book, and it was fantastic in the writing. But I was really lost for a lot of it. I didn't care about a lot of it. And the dragons, I was promised better Fourth Wing, but Fourth Wing had talking dragons and, like, they were a pivotal part of the story, and this is not that. Now, it was just mismarketed incorrectly to me and to the masses, I feel like, not even by this author themselves, but I cannot say that it is the better Fourth Wing because it's not even anywhere near, like, Fourth Wing, and I loved Fourth Wing, so I don't know what that says about me, but it's not Fourth Wing. Then we have The Bear and the Nightingale, and I feel like I have to put it in Oh My God because I DNF'd it at like 32 pages. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, there were so many names and Russian names and nicknames, and it was just very whimsical storytelling-esque, like a Russian fairy tale, and like, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. And so because I didn't really read a lot of it, I feel like it has to go down there, but like, I don't know. Then we have The Housemaid. I'm going to put it in I Wish I Could, but I don't want to. I think I gave this a 3.5 stars. Like, it was perfectly fine. However, I've heard things that she's copying from other authors. I don't know that 100% yet. I'm going to read the other book that is being compared against to, like, make sure 100%. But it wasn't anything groundbreaking. I could name at least 3 different thrillers that did exactly what this book did, so I already knew where it was going to go. So it was just kind of boring in that sense, but like, it kept me on my toes. It was very fast bingeable writing. Like, it's definitely a popcorn read, so like, it's very great for like beginner thriller girlies, but like, I'm not a beginner at this point, so I need a little more. I need more. Ugh, Magnolia Park's the long way home. You go up there on your golden pedestal, okay? You go up there and you rise, you blossom, okay? This book took me 4 months to read because I was annotating the crapola out of this. Like, annotating my little booty off. This is definitely, now, this is tricky. Is it my best book of the year? Because there's another book on here that I think may have topped it. It is in my top 3. Top 3, best book of the year. It is an all-time contender, okay? This book will grip you. It will make you cry. It won't make me cry because I'm stone cold, but it makes other people cry. The way that you find out why Magnolia and BJ have so many issues and why they're so toxic, it just breaks my heart. It honestly breaks my heart thinking about it. This book was beautiful, and the ending, I'm gonna need you to pay for my therapy bills, Miss Jessica Hastings, because you really did us dirty in the end of this book. You really did me dirty, and I'm still very sad about it. An Education in Malice. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to put it in He's Her Lobster, even though it's like what us to like, because I really liked this book. It was so fun. It had such a great gothic academia vampire sapphic atmosphere. Like, I really loved it. Now, I know a lot of people are saying that they don't like it because it's being compared to Carmilla and then the Carmilla retelling, and that it's nothing like Carmilla. I wouldn't know because I've never read Carmilla, but I had a great time with this. I was just living my best life. Now, is the ending a little ridiculous? Yeah. Is it the best ending I've ever read? No. There are significantly better endings than that. But the vibes were all there. It was vibing, okay? Like, it made me feel good. Even when I didn't read it in the correct month or time of year that you should read this book, I still loved it, okay? All the witchy, magical vampire vibes were there. So it's a fabulous book. Then we have At First Bite by Olivia Dade. And technically I gave this a 4, but I'm putting it in Smelly Cat only because the main MMC I did not like. And honestly, it's just because of what the plot is about, okay? It's about our main girl, and she is engaged to a guy. He basically just dumps her right before the wedding, doesn't really explain why. And she had already bought this, like, spite house, like, that is connected to other people's houses. She had already bought it for them for their wedding, and so she decides to move into it anyway. And, of course, it is attached next door to his brother. And so the relationship ends up being between her and her ex-fiance's brother. which already sets it up a little bit, like in a, I don't know. But our main male character just had some issues that I just couldn't get behind, okay? I didn't really like his thinking process, and there were some things he did but there were some things he did that were great, but there were some things he did that were I couldn't get behind our Matthew character. I just couldn't. And so it was missing that for me. Oh, then we have a Fate of Wrath and Flame. There you go, queen. K.A. Tucker. I read The Simple Wild by her, okay? And then I read this masterpiece, and I was like, what are you doing with your life? You are not a contemporary romance girly. You are a fanro girly. This was fantastic. There were so many fantastic things going on about this book. I loved all the different creatures that are in this world. I loved the whole premise. I loved the true enemies to lovers. I mean, this girly pop tried to kill her man. Okay? Now, of course, she doesn't remember. That's part of the story. But it was so good, okay? I don't know what else to say about this book. I had so many bangers in April and May. It's going to be so hard to pick my books at the end of the year, my top, because this feels like this is in my top 3. Did I peak, y'all? Did I peak? I don't know. I just might have. Mountains Made of Glass by Scarlett St. Clair. I'm going to put this in What's Not to Like. Although, I was tempted to put it in He's Her Lobster, because I had the best time with this book. This is the best Beauty and the Beast. This is the best Beauty and the Beast retelling I have read. Like, it is significantly, like, it actually follows, like, it reads like Beauty and the Beast. And there are Cogsworth and Lumiere characters. There's a Mrs. Potts characters. Like, this is so real, like, so close to the actual story that, like, this is what a genuine representation of a retelling should be like. And I had so much fun with this book. It was so cute. And I was a little scared because I thought it was going to be extremely steamy and smutty because, you know, that's how Scarlett St. Clair is. But this was just enough plot and just enough smut. I even could have taken a little bit more smut. It was just so good, okay? I'm just so excited. I've already pre-ordered book number 2, Apples Dipped in Holly, which I'm pretty sure is a Snow White retelling. I am here for it. Then we have A Promise in Peridot, and I'm going to put this in... What's Not to Like. I thought about putting it in Smelly Cat because there were some things that were lackluster for me, but overall, I genuinely do like this series, but I do feel like this book kind of had middle book syndrome, and there were just some things that went on that I just wasn't really here for. But the ending did make up for it in my eyes because it set it up really well for like a next book or the last book in the series. And so honestly, I just have a fun time with this. I think they're really easy fantasy reads to get into if you're new to the fantasy romance genre. I love our main character. I'm very much here for the relationship. And so yeah, I had a good time with it. It took me a while to read because I hit a reading slump in the middle of it, but still really liked it. When the Moon Hatched. I don't know whether I liked Magnolia or this better. When the Moon Hatched is a genuine, absolute masterpiece. We read this for my Tortured Readers Book Club. It was the first book of the month, and we had a fantastic time with it. Everyone either absolutely loved it or DNF'd it, and so I think, you know, if you realize it's not for you, it's not for you. This book was for me. It was so beautiful. Beautiful purple prose, like wonderful lyrical writing. The story itself was so fantastic. There were so many conspiracy theories going on in our Discord. Like, it was pop-a-lop-a-lopping off in the chat, okay? We had so much fun with this book. I think it is beautiful. I cannot wait for the next book, but it doesn't come out until fall of 2025. Like, I would sell a kidney to have the next one in this book. I got a Fairy Loot special edition of this book. Like, I am obsessed, okay? I am obsessed. I can't say enough great things about this book. If you like high fantasy with a lot of romance and dragons, this is the book for you. Then we have Powerful by Lauren Roberts, and honestly, I'm going to put this in Smelly Cat. I don't really know what the purpose of this book was. Like, I think it's just, you know, to milk the cash cow while you can. I mean, because it's about Adina, and if you know Adina from Powerless, yeah, then you'll probably want to read this. And, like, I liked it and all, and it was sad, but, like, it just didn't feel very necessary to me. It just was. I don't know. I mean, it just was. It just was. Then we have Blood Price by Vela Roth. And I gave this a 5, but I don't know if I would put it up there with those other 4 books. I think I'm going to put it in What's Not to Like, because while I did really love it, I didn't love it as much as those other books. But this was a fantastic introduction into the Blood Grace series. I get to know, like, how her vampires differ from, like, the rest of the world. I get to know her writing, because I've heard that, like, it's really beautiful, but it can also be really difficult because it's very political. Which I will say, this novella itself was very political. And I was able to follow along for the most part. I love the unique take that she puts on vampires. It was just very intriguing, and I love this. And it was like a historical vampire book, because it was like in the 1800s, and I was still like thriving. I was living my best life out there. So like, if you can get me to still care about historical stuff, as long as there's vampires, then like, we be good. All right, we're gonna knock these two out around the same time. So let's start with Crown of Midnight. That would go in What's Not to Like, and Air of Fire is gonna go in Smelly Cat. Crown of Midnight, I gave a 4.5, and Air of Fire, I gave a 3.5. Crown of Midnight, absolutely loved. Thought it had a fantastic ending, and, like, I really felt like we were on the train, like, getting on board to, like, you know, get committed to this series. And then we hit Air of Fire, which is where a lot of people say that the story picks up. But to me, I felt it slowed down. Because first off, you go from like 1 or 2 POVs to over 6, okay? 6. And 4 or 5 of them are at least brand new characters that you've never met before this. And I'm just supposed to like first care about them and second be like, wait, what? What's going on? How are these all connected? What are they all doing? And I still feel like by the end of the book, I don't entirely know. And so I'm going to have to watch somebody's Air of Fire recap somewhere out there in the wild before I go to Queen of Shadows, because I'm not entirely sure if I retained everything that was going on. It just wasn't for me. But I'm pushing through because I'm reading with Neva and Kelsey, and we are going to get to Queen of Shadows, so I should be starting that very soon. I'm going to try my best, okay? I'm going to try my best. Then we have Homes Where the Bodies Are, and I'm going to put that in Smelly Cat because it was just a standard thriller. I have read better from Geneva Rose. It was just alright. I mean, the sibling dynamics were fine. You know, I don't know. It just didn't do anything groundbreaking. Once again, thrillers are just not hitting for me right now. I'm not in my thriller era. This just wasn't that exciting. And I could see who the murderer was from like a mile away. It just, you know, I need a little more, guys. I need a little more. And the Nettle and Bone, I'm going to put I don't know. I think this is another Raven cycle situation because while I can also tell that this book is like very beautifully written and like it's a very phenomenal fairy tale-esque book, it was not for me. I was confused. Now, what happens typically for me with T. Kingfisher is I either really love it, like I loved Thornhedge, or I don't really love it, and that was like Nettle and Bone and What Moves the Dead, because some of them just go over my head. Kind of feels like Stephen Graham Jones, only in a different whimsical way. And so while I acknowledge that this book is good and that other people will like it, and I will probably recommend it for a specific type of people, that specific type of person is not me, and I am okay with that. And so those are all the books that I read in April and May. So obviously take a screenshot of this so that you can definitely check out the Lobster and the What's Not to Like tier. And maybe check out the Smelly Cat tier if you're intrigued in those books. The other books are just not really the best. But I mean, I'm really glad that most of them were like above that. So like we had a pretty successful April and May month. And I mean, these are like God tier, okay? Like those are fabulous books. I just love them. They're going to become a whole personality if they haven't already. So anyway, we're going to go back to end of tier ranking Rainy to like close this out. And those are all of the books that I read in April and May. So if you got to the end of this, let's put a, I don't know, let's put a boat emoji, honestly, because I'm thinking of Magnolia Park's Long Way Home and there's a boat on the cover. So let's put a boat emoji. Tell me what your favorite book of either April or May was. Let a girl know, because I would love to get some more recommendations from you fabulous people. And with that, I will see you soon, probably in an amazing readathon vlog very soon. But either way, I will see you in a video very, very soon. Bye.